Hello and welcome to Tuesday's Tech Garage. And today we are going to be doing some activities using LED lights, copper tape. And so we're going to be doing a paper circuit. We're going to be doing a little bit of origami, and then I'm going to give you directions on a project that you can actually do on your own at home. So what you want to find is you will need a couple things. So you need your general supply bag because you definitely will need your scissors, clear tape, glue, markers, your electrical tape. And so I'm going to go ahead. You're going to need also the bag that says paper circuit. So we're going to find the bag paper circuit. And inside there's two different sheets of paper. So there's a regular construction paper, and then there's also one that says simple circuit. And so you want to pull that one out first. And then inside you're going to see a battery, and then also a long strip of shiny copper tape. And so what you're going to need to do for this, and then you also want to look into the bag that says LED origami and postcard, because inside you want to pull out, there's a little bag, and it has a whole bunch of little LED lights in it. And so you're going to be using those lights. Now, what you want to do for this activity is we're going to go ahead and tape our battery down. So when you look at the simple circuit page, it's going to be really important to pay attention to where things are on here. So this is just a guide to help you learn how to make circuits using your copper tape. And so you want to pay attention to the fact that the battery has a plus sign and a minus sign over here. And then when you look up here at the LED light, the little diagram, there's a negative and a positive. So when you look at your LED lights, what you're going to notice is the little legs that extend off of it, the little wire legs, they're different lengths. And so the longer leg is your positive, the shorter leg is your negative. And so it's important that you notice that because that's going to determine how things work when you make the circuit. So I always like to test my lights and my battery before I start. That way I can know if it doesn't work as far as troubleshooting. I already know my battery works and my light works. So that when I work on this project, I'll know that it's not my battery, it's not my light, maybe something else that I did doesn't work right. So the first thing you want to do is you look down the corner, there's a line across here. That is a line to show you where to fold your paper. So what you're making is you're actually making a switch when you do this. So take that. So now I have a switch that I'm going to be making. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tape my battery down. Now here's what you want to notice, there's a plus sign and a negative sign. That's going to show you, I want to put the plus side down here. That way when I close it, the negative side touches the other side. So I am going to take out my clear tape. And I'm only going to put tape across the very corner. The reason why is you don't want to cover up the surface of the battery because that has to be able to touch and connect on the other side. If you put tape all the way across the battery, it won't be able to touch and it won't work. And so we also want to have the underside still a little bit free, so you can put tape underneath there. Now, what you want to do is you want to be careful with your tape because you pretty much have just enough for this project. And so when you're measuring and cutting and peeling the tape, you want to be careful because if the tape gets messed up, there's not necessarily a replacement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the tape right over the diagram, and I'm going to see how long of a piece I need, and then I'm going to trim it. Now, when you're taking your tape off, be careful. You're going to take it off the backing. It tends to curl. So you want to be careful as you remove it. You'll see it happen over here. It's going to bounce up. But yeah, the tape tends to curl when you remove it from the backing. So you just have to be very gentle with it as you're unpeeling it so you don't rip it. So this tape is a special kind of tape, obviously. It has a pretty copper color because it's made of copper. And so it's actually conductive. So this is actually going to conduct electricity through it and let us make a circuit. So I'm going to untwist my tape and I'm going to lay it down right on the lines. This diagram is literally showing you where to put your tape. And then I've already tangled my tape up a little bit here. So I'm going to try and gently untangle my tape. Just to show you this is what can happen. If you're gentle with it, you can untangle it again. Although mine got pretty stuck together here. So I'm gonna put that there. Now the nice thing is, if you do have a little mess up like this, you can layer another piece over it, and it'll be fine. So if you see what happened, I trimmed my tape right there because I got a little bit tangled. It's hard to do when I'm holding it up instead of being on the table. So I'm just gonna add a little piece of tape just to finish off that end. You want to make sure that you extend all the way into the middle of that circle, because again, we want this so that when I close this, the battery is going to touch the tape. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the rest of it. Actually, I'm going to start doing the other side. I want to show you guys how to do this. Carefully uncoil my tape. And again, if it does happen to rip or something like that, it's okay. You want to make sure that you overlap the tape when you're doing this, because otherwise you don't have a circuit, because it'll have an opening in it. So I'm going to take my tape. And if you do have a piece that tears, you have to fix something again to make sure that the pieces are all overlapping. The biggest thing that I see go wrong when people are making these circuits is that they don't have a good enough connection with the tape. So sometimes you need to go around the edge of your circuit and press down on the different parts and make sure that there's a good connection between the different pieces of tape. So as you can see, I'm about halfway done with this one. What I'm going to show you is I want to turn it done over here. So good. All right, so I'm going to show you. This is a finished one. So as you can see, I went ahead and put the tape all the way around my bulb. I'm going to show you how I put the bulb there. The bulb is here, tape, tape, tape down here. And then when I fold it, and this is when I said, if it's not lighting up really solidly, this is where you need to press down on your tape connection and make sure you've got a good connection. So you should see that right now my light is lighting up down here because I have a complete circuit down here. And again, this is your switch. That way you can turn it on and off and on and off. I'm just going to show you really quick how to insert the light, and then we're actually going to move on to our next project. So if I take out a bulb, all right, so I have a green light up here. So remember what I said, you want to pay attention to the little wires poking out. So there's a positive and a negative. And if you look at your diagram, even the diagram shows you which way to have the long leg, which way to have short leg. However, what you need to do is take your light and bend the legs out so they're flat. Okay, so make sure you figure out which way the short is and which way the long is, and then bend them out because you want to lay it flat on the paper. So you're going to lay it down so that the legs of your light are where the tape is going to go. And so when I do my next section of tape, right here, I'm going to take my tape and this time, as I'm laying my tape down, again, make sure it crosses over that corner and overlaps the other tape. This time, I'm going to put it over the leg of the light. Now, here's another important tip for you. When you do the other side, you don't want the copper tape to touch the other piece of copper tape. So there needs to be a little bit of a gap underneath the light. Otherwise, the electricity will just flow through the tape and it will skip the light bulb and your light bulb will not light up. So you don't want to put tape under the light. You're going to start on the other side of the light. So I'm going to put tape on the other side. So on here, I put tape all the way over here, covered the leg of the light, skipped underneath the light, there's no tape underneath, and I started again on the other side with the other leg. And I made sure I covered up the little wire from the leg. That's super important because that's going to help connect your circuit. All right, so I have my tape over here. I'm going to finish my circuit. So I'm going to take this. Again, be pretty careful when I'm peeling this off, trying to minimize how much it's curling. small piece. If you happen to run out of tape, if you go in the bag that says LED origami, there's extra tape in there because that's for your next project, but there's enough for you to finish this one as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put my tape. Now this is what you want. You want your tape when you're ending it. You want the tape to go over the top of the battery. Because again, when I close it, I want to make sure I'm getting a good connection. Now, this one's not lighting up. So this one I have to troubleshoot and figure out why. And so again, this could be your connection. You want to make sure that your tape is actually connected. And again, sometimes it can be the light, sometimes it can be the battery. I'm trying to make sure I have it pushed up in everywhere it should be. I'm going to peel up my tape here and just check my light really quick. So you can peel this up to fix it. Just be careful when you do. Just peel it right back down. And so again, this is where you're going to want to troubleshoot. If it doesn't light up, you need to figure out why. Right here, I'm not sure if now paper's a little bit ripped on this one, but that's going to affect why. So you're going to have to play around with it and figure out if it doesn't light up, what's going wrong. What you want it to do with this one's right over here. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next project. All right. So we're going to set that to the side. You want the bag that says LED origami. Now inside your bag, there's going to be, I've got 2 batteries. I have a few sheets of origami paper, and I have a big piece of construction paper. And so this is for 2 different projects. It is for LED origami, and then it's also for an LED postcard. So this is my little frog, my little origami frog right here with his little crazy looking red eyes over here. So you can see his little eyes lighting up. And so I'm going to show you how to fold your origami frog. Now, the directions that you have on, I want to show you another thing too. Let me show you the directions for this. So for that first project, that simple circuit, we did include the PDFs of the different circuits. So there is the simple circuit. In case you want to print another one, there's other options. So if you decide you want to get your own copper tape, your own LED lights and batteries, there's some other options in there that you can make. Or gives you a guide, like on the traffic signal, there's a parallel circuit, there's a doorbell circuit, flat tab switch, and there's also, I think, there's a desk lamp. So there's different patterns that we sent you as well that if you wanted to try it out, if you want copper tape. I got my copper tape off of Amazon, it's not expensive. LED lights also are not expensive. And point cell batteries you can even get at the Dollar Tree. So that's another project that you can also do. For LED origami, if you are watching this as recorded, I do suggest that you print out the directions. The reason why is the directions include step-by-step pictures on how to fold your origami. So I'm going to show you how to do it, but I also highly recommend you at least pull up the directions on your computer, or if you can't print them out, so that way you can actually see there are 16 different steps for folding the origami frog I'm about to do. And so it's really helpful just to have these directions in front of you. So for this one, you can pick out your paper. I'm going to do a pink frog this time. So we're going to start off with our paper that we have here. And the first step is going to be to fold it in half. So we're going to fold it in half and make a nice crease. I will say with origami, it's always important to be very precise with your folds and make very sharp creases. So we fold it in half. Now the next thing you're going to do, and I'll hold it up, you're going to fold the corner over. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I have folded one corner over like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it and I'm going to fold from the other corner. All right. So now I'm going to fold from the other corner. And again, I'm going to give it a nice crease. So when you open it back up, there's this long rectangle. And across the top, I now have a crisscross of creases. So that's important for the next step. And so the next step, what you're doing, I'm going to kind of show you, I'm kind of pinching and pulling the sides in. So I'm pinching and pulling my sides in and flattening it so that I end up with a triangle. So I'm not sure, just hard to explain. That's why it's definitely important, I think, to have your directions out in front of you. So, got my paper, and I'm pinching the two sides in, folding the top down. So that's going to make that little triangle across the top. All right, for the next step, I'm going to fold up the corners of my triangle. So I'm going to show you again. I'm going to come around. So what I did, so I got my triangle, it's flat, folding this side up, folding that side up, okay? And that's going to end up being the front legs of my frog. All right, for the next part, what I'm going to do is we're going to fold up the bottom one time, okay? I'm just taking the bottom and I'm folding it up like that. Okay? And then on the next step, I'm going to fold in the sides. So I'm going to come and show you that again. It's just a lot easier for me to fold when it's on the table. All right, I'm going to come over and show you. One of my folds is a little crooked. Okay. All right. So what we did, first we fold it up, and then I folded this side in, and then I folded this side in. All right. So for the next step, what we're going to do is fold it in half again. All right, so I'm going to show you the next two steps. I'm going to come up and show you how I'm doing them. So again, it's very hard to explain this, and also it's very tiny, so I know it's probably hard for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to come show you the next couple of steps up close. Okay. So the next thing we did is I took this, folded it up, and then I'm going to fold down the corners. So I'm going to fold this corner down. I'm going to fold this corner down. Okay. Now, the next step is I kind of pull out. I'm going to pull this around. So I'm pulling the sides out while keeping it closed. This is a hard step. Okay. So if I take it back to where it was. So we had the sides folded down. Now I'm kind of pulling them out like this. So this is a pretty tricky step. All right. Again, if you have the directions in front of you, it might be helpful. All right. So we got our little legs there. All right. I'm going to come back and show you the next step. Because this one, I kept making the step harder than it was. I'm just going to fold that down. And then I'm going to fold it down. All right. So I'm folding both of them down. All right. And then the next step, I can come show you this again. I'm going to fold these little legs out. All right, I'm going to come show you again. All right. So we have these two little legs that are folded down. Now I'm going to fold them out. Fold that out. Okay. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to fold it up again. And then I'm going to fold it back. And that's the end of my frog. I'm going to come show you that. Okay. Oh, my little frog got messed up. All right, leg down. Leg down, leg up. All right. So you're going to end up, little frog's going to end up like this. So this is going to be your frog. This is my little origami frog from all the folding I just did. All right. So once you have your little frog, which I do. So this is my little origami frog. And if you do press on the back, you can if you press just right on them, you can actually get them to jump too. So what I'm going to show you is what I did next. So this is my other frog that I finished. And so what I did is I picked out some lights and I took one of the batteries and I punched a little hole through the top. I punched a little hole through the top of my frog And then I put both of the legs of my LED lights over my battery and use electrical tape to attach the battery underneath my frog. So now I have my little LED origami frog, and he's got glowing eyes over here. All right, so got our frog. So that's what you can do for yours. Same thing, so just use your scissors and very carefully to cut through. What I recommend, hang on one second, we've got a walkie-talkie going off. All right, sorry, walkie-talkie was going off. All right, so you've got your frog. My recommendation for getting holes poked through, I'm gonna put his legs down so I don't accidentally cut his legs. And I'm just gonna fold right here across the top where I think want my eyes to go. I'm gonna use my scissors. I'm gonna go all the way to the bend of the scissors, the joint, and make two little small incisions. So now my frog has two little, kind of hard to see, it's very bright, but I've made two little incisions that go all the way through, and that way I can actually poke my LED lights through. And so then all I have to do is poke my LED lights through my frog and then attach the battery, put some electrical tape on to attach it. And so yes, that battery is strong enough to power two LED lights at the same time. And then I get my little frog. All right, and so that's gonna be your second project this morning. Your third project is going to be making an LED postcard. Or it could be a trading card, or it could just be a piece of artwork. So that's why you have in this kit, there's a whole bunch of copper tape, and then there should be a second battery. So I was pulling these out. So I had two batteries, and then again, you have extra LED lights, and there was extra origami paper and extra construction paper. Now for mine, what I did is I actually found some cardstock left over from another project. So if you look through your bags and find a project where there's cardstock and you didn't use it, I used that to make this a little bit sturdier. This light is so bright. I'm gonna see if I can turn this down a little bit so you can see better. Where is the switch? All right, see if you can see this a little bit better. Okay, here we go. All right, so what I made is I made a little nighttime moon scene on mine. And so to do that, I used my copper tape, I used my LED lights, and I used electrical tape and my batteries to create a circuit on the back that connected all of my lights to my battery. And then I taped everything in place, and then I used an extra piece of cardstock across the back so that you can't see it. So that way you have some cool artwork on the front. And like I said, if you want to use it as a postcard, you can. So I kind of put that on there. If you just want to make it be a little piece of artwork, you can. That lights up. But you're going to go ahead, and now that you've done, I'm going to turn our light back up. So now that you have practiced making a circuit, you've made your little LED origami, so now your goal is to combine those two skills and make a piece of artwork that has a circuit that actually lights up multiple lights. And again, that's why you have like a whole bunch of copper tape. You've got your paper, use your art supplies that are out of your kit, your markers, your glue stick, your scissors. If you can find any cardstock to make it sturdier, also to cover up the back so you just don't have like an exposed circuit showing, you can. If you can get really clever, use what you learned in the simple circuit where you created a switch. See if you can make a switch that can go on the back of your card or your artwork so that your battery doesn't just stay on and then you just waste your battery and your lights. So that's going to be your 3 projects for this morning. And then this afternoon, you guys are going to be doing vinyl cutter stencil prints. So you're going to be using a stencil that we make here on our vinyl cutter. And then you're also going to be making a flashlight using a craft stick. You're going to be working again with copper tape, LED lights, and again, those point cell batteries. And you're also going to be doing a binary code project. So that's going to be your afternoon. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.